Super excited, looking for a great night together with everyone. It's just so amazing the things that we can talk about one with another. And so tonight I have some really good information that I am going to impart. I hope that everybody is going to get ready and take some notes. So, hey Dana, how's it going tonight? Good to see you. Invite your friends, tell them to come on. It's going to be exciting. Oh my goodness, I am so pumped, so ready to get to this information and content that I'd like to share tonight. There's going to be some wonderful tidbits, helps that will keep us all moving forward as we consider, what do we do when we're at a crossroad in our intersection in life? And so I guess in a few minutes, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining in tonight for our Mentor Monday. This is your girl, Dr. Jacquie Hood Martin, and I'm super excited to be one of the 2018 Boss Influencers. Kamika keeps us on the move. She keeps us sharp. She keeps us on point, just as she does with everyone who is a part of the Boss Success Network on our Facebook family. And so tonight I am going to be bringing you information and tidbits related to how do you handle yourself when you're standing at a crossroad. And when I do that tonight, I want you to make sure you've got your pen, your pad, your paper, and everything together. But then also I'm going to leave some time at the end to take your questions. I know someone's going to be monitoring them, so I'll leave some time for us to be able to respond to questions. But definitely want to make certain that tonight as we gather together, we have an opportunity to really sit back, dive in. I mean, do a really good deep dive on what do we do when we're standing at a crossroad. How many of you can say, if you want to, you can put your little hand emoji up in the chat box, but how many of you can say that you have been at a crossroad, an absolute intersection in your life where you're just not certain whether you should go to the right or go to the left, but one thing you know for sure, you cannot stand still. And that's where I want to meet you tonight, which is in the last several months where I've been finding me meeting me. Sometimes you do have to meet yourself. You have to reconnect with yourself when you're so busy helping other people become successful, when you're spending your time pouring and sowing seed into good soil and in sometimes some not so good soil. It takes a lot out of us, and then you question yourself. You question whether or not you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing. You take a deep breath and then you settle into yourself. And then you begin to explore your own potential and possibilities once again. And so that's where we are tonight. Let me ask you all a couple of questions. Have you ever been in that space where you have felt as if you are in above your head? Have you ever been in that space where you felt like you were sinking or drowning and just didn't know what to do? Well, let me tell you, folks, that is not uncommon. The higher that you go in your leadership, your personal relationships, your professional quest, even when you're growing yourself as an individual, sometimes we do feel as if we're sinking, we're drowning, we're in over our head, and we stop and we literally ask ourselves, what have I gotten myself into? How many of you ask yourself that question? What have you gotten yourself into? I find myself asking that question on an ongoing basis. Let me tell you why. Sometimes it's doubt because I feel like I push myself too far, too fast. And so I'm learning to slow it down. And that may be you, learning to slow yourself down so that way you can readily identify what your next move will be. So tonight, what we're going to be talking about is standing at the crossroads, the intersection between personal and professional decision making. These things become extremely important and questions that we have to ask ourselves as we are moving and trying to elevate ourselves on our job, improve our stance and our position in our organizations, look at different ways to enrich, enliven, and keep fresh our relationships. And so the first thing that I want to talk to you about tonight is learning how to love your lane. I know it's not easy. Loving your own lane. That's the first thing. I'm going to give you 3 tips tonight on how to handle your crossroad. You're standing in that place where you say, I've got to make a decision. I've been in the middle of the road too long. I am not certain exactly what I need to do, but what I know I cannot do is just sit here, stand here, and be unmoved. So So the first thing you have to do is love your lane. That means you've already identified your gifts, your talents, your strengths, your weaknesses, and you have a purpose and a passion, and you know what it is you're supposed to be doing. But you have to love your lane. I don't care how hard it gets, how difficult it becomes. If you do not love your lane, it is difficult to stick with what it is you're supposed to be doing when the money is low, when the clients aren't coming, when the business seems to be drying up, when the promotions are not there, when the love in your relationship seems to have lost its luster, when your friends don't seem to want to be supporting you and in your corner, when it's time for you to get someone to push you and make you just get back into the game. Let me tell you, if you do not love your lane, if you don't love your lane, I mean absolutely outright love your lane, own the space that you are destined and designed to occupy, it is going to be a challenge. And the reason that it becomes challenging is because when you are unable to make a decision about what your next move can be, you can actually lose business, you can lose credibility, you can lose favor. You can literally almost lose your mind when you have certain layers of uncertainty that keep you in a position of not wanting to move. And in business, let me tell you, that is not a good place to be because depression sets in. A lot of people don't realize this, that outside of the personal depression that you can have from relationships lost, that same level of depression can kick in when your business isn't growing, when your business isn't thriving, when you are uncertain how to find your tribe. We say that all the time, like, where's my tribe? Where are my clients? Where are the people whom I'm supposed to be, working with? Where are they? And sometimes it's that quest, it's that search, it's that hunger that you have that allows you to love your lane. You have to own your lane. You have to be the person that is in that space that knows beyond a shadow of a doubt that if nobody comes to knock on your door, if your phone is not ringing, you're still going to get up every day and put in 100% of the work. So that way, your best effort is being put forward to do what it is you have been purposed in this life to do. I know that for me, I'm constantly reinventing myself. And what happens is when you've been in business 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, almost 30 years, you're having to keep up your lifeline. Your lifeline is your skill set and your development. So if you're in that space and you're no longer loving your lane, how are you inventing yourself, reinventing yourself, finding a way to continue to stay fresh and relevant and looking for your audience? But if you're tired and you say stuff like, I've done that already, I'm tired of having to learn something new, trust me, you are destined to fail. There is no way that you can be in business successfully, sustainably, and have any type of longevity if you are not willing to continue to put in the time to love your lane. I can tell you that sometimes it's a matter of the heart. Sometimes it's a matter of the head. Sometimes it's a matter of sheer will. I mean, that will to just keep getting up and going and going and going. And I don't mean to the point where you're, banging your head against a wall where no fruit is coming from your labor. I mean, really taking the time to sit down and fine-tune your business plan, fine-tune your course of action, and readjust your thinking and your attitude. All right, now I need y'all to hear me well. You have got to tweak your business plan. You've got to fine tune and adjust your plan of action, but also you've got to adjust your attitude and your perspective. In my book, Fulfill the Art and Joy of Balanced Living, one of the first laws is perspective. And a part of perspective is being able to see outside of the realm of what it is you know to be true. Because there are other truths that are out there which we often never find out about because we refuse to go to networking events. We refuse to seek out people who have been where we are. We are too prideful, if you will, to even ask for help when we know that there are people who are doing the same kind or level of work that we are wanting to do and desire to do. When we connect and collaborate with other people, it can reinvigorate us and cause us to love our lane all over again. And I know y'all get sick and tired of hearing people say, stay in your lane, stay in your lane. You operating outside your lane. All of that is so true. When you start to look to the left and look to the right and see what other people are doing for the purpose of trying to let's see how I want to say it. I don't want to offend anybody because y'all know how my mouth can be. But when it is that you are trying to replicate or duplicate what it is someone else is doing, and it has nothing to do with your purpose, your passion, or your calling, that's when you lose sight of the love that you had for the thing that drew you in the first place. There is something about the power of our creativity that gives us the ability to go further when we stay in our lane, when we love our lane, and when we have wisdom enough to listen to people who are further up the lane. Now, mind you, you are not the only person operating in your lane. There are millions of people who have the name of the gift that you have, who have the name of the calling that you have on your life, who have a business that is quite similar to yours. But because we are uniquely gifted and wonderfully made, no one, trust me, no one, no matter how hard they try to be you, they can't be you, because you are a single individual. And that's what causes you to do more, to be more, to strive more, to thrive for more, when you love your lane. And let me tell you, it gets difficult at times, because for those of you who are entrepreneurs, loving your lane requires you to make some adjustments. And it may be adjustments that you're not comfortable with making. So you don't like people. And I know it's hard to believe that there are individuals who are in business that don't like people. And if you are an individual that doesn't really care for people, you don't like to get out to networking events. You don't like to socialize with people who are in your professional circle or your organization or in your community. When was the last time you thought about going to the chamber in your area so that way you could tell them who you are and that you're there and what you do? When was the last time you went to a professional business development networking event or a happy hour? Whatever it is, you have to find a new love for your lane, so that way you can operate in it with grace and favor. But then also with that comes revenue. Y'all see this? Revenue comes when you love your lane. When you love your lane, and we're still talking about being in that intersection, because I know when we are standing at a crossroads, sometimes we want to jump ship. I don't like my lane. It's too many people that doing the same thing I'm doing. I don't like my lane. Everybody does hair and nails. I don't like my lane. Everybody's being a virtual assistant. I don't like my lane. Everybody is starting a business. It's the nature of who we are and what we do. But remember, nobody can do you like you can do you. And so let me just encourage you and challenge you tonight that if you are finding in your heart that you're no longer passionate about your lane, you are missing out on revenue. The revenue comes when you understand. There's a scripture that I hold dear to my heart in Deuteronomy that says God has given us the ability to create wealth. And when I think about all of the money and the resources that I'm leaving on the table, it comes because I'm not willing to get out and network. I'm not a night driver. I'll tell anybody that if you want me to come to something, you better make it between 1 and 5. That's just who I am. If you want me to come to something between 7 and 10, it better be online, because it's a pass. And I mean, it's a hard pass. Even though I know that it's potential business, I also understand my weaknesses and my limitations. I have somewhat of night blindness. So I'm not trying to be out at night in environments and climates where I am uncomfortable. And so unless someone else is driving, it just doesn't happen. And so I learned to operate in my lane with my strengths and my weaknesses so that they can work to my ability. But some of you are so paralyzed by what you don't know that you're refusing to even be willing to get out and ask so that you can know. And so you have to discover how to continue to love your lane even when the brook, the money, the resources, the happy people who were with you in the beginning are gone. You know, that's another tip for you. You know, first we love our lane, but we also have to love the people who come with our lane. That's the second thing. If you are at a crossroad and you do not have people who are in your center court, I know a lot of people talk about the front row and the people who are there for you all the time, but I'm telling you, you have to have people who are walking with you in your lane who clearly understand. I mean, beyond a shadow of a doubt, they understand your gifting, your passion, your purpose. And sometimes they're willing to tell you no. They're willing to tell you not yet. They're willing to tell you that sometimes you're even out of your mind. But if you have people who are walking with you in your lane, who don't get you, your vision, your calling, your business idea, your concept, you have to release them. And that's in all honesty. Sometimes we are stuck at a crossroad because we're waiting for other people to give us permission to move. You cannot wait for other people to give you permission to do what you are called to do. I can only reiterate that so many times throughout the time we're going to be together tonight, is that you have to have people who are walking with you in business, who are walking with you in your personal, professional, relationship arenas, who are willing to help you figure it all out. How many of you can honestly say tonight that you have people that you can call right now? If you are at a crossroad, think you're coming to a crossroad, you have people that you can call right now who will be willing to listen to you walk it out. I mean, talk through it mentally. Do some mind mapping with you to say, I was thinking about, opening up an office, and then I really wasn't sure because I didn't know where the revenue was going to come from. And someone will say to you, well, you know how the revenue went last year, so I'm not sure that's something you could consider. Now, where that may be valid, they're allowing you to assess a past practice and something that has happened, and you want that individual in your court. But you also want another individual who can say, well, yes, that may be true, but if you think about the amount of effort or lack of effort that we put into making our events, our opportunities, or getting out in the community to be a success, and you can say, I passed up on 5 engagements that I probably should have went to. If I had done that, I probably would have met several other people, because you know how God is in hindsight. You'll be at another event 2 years down the road and someone will say, I was hoping to have met you at such and such. And then you're like, oh, I didn't go to such and such, but you wish that you would have. But that other person is now giving you an opportunity to step into a new arena in your same lane. So you need people in your corner who can help you walk through what you did do and what you didn't do, what worked, what didn't work, why didn't it work. Sometimes as business owners, we don't do all of our due diligence. We go on hearsay, what somebody said, how great an event was. We go by how many likes something was on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever the platform is. And social media is a great gauge for having people in your lane. But at the same time, you need real live flesh and blood people who can sit with you to help you figure out what your next move is going to be. If you don't have people who are in your court that can do that, this is what the Boss Network is for. This BOSS, it stands for Bringing Out Successful Sisters. So there are other women who have been where you are trying to go. There are other women who've had their share of failings and pitfalls, and we openly talk about them because it makes us better. If you don't have people who are in your court, your center court, who can help you become better, another group of people with whom you need to release yourself. Because sometimes you're at a crossroad because, like I said, you are waiting for someone to give you permission to move forward. When in actuality, folks, you got to step out on faith. There's nothing greater than I can say to you, that you have to take the time to get to know who you are and the kind of people that you need around you in your relationships, professionally, on your job, wherever it is, in your church, your groups, your organizations, wherever it is you find yourself where you believe there's an opportunity for you to rise, then you need to have people who can help you get there. This week, I'm doing a series of workshops on learning to lead yourself, because it's very important that you know how to grow you. And in growing you, it gives you the ability. So 4 areas that we're covering in our workshops, and in May, we're going to be bringing some specialized, concentrated webinars. They'll be live with me through the Boss Network, and they'll be only for the members of the Boss Network. So if you know people who need to be a part of the Boss Network, I'm telling you now, you do not want to miss May. You want to get your folks together, have them become a part so that they can be a part of this webinar series that we're doing specifically for Kamika and the Boss Network. And it falls in the line with know yourself, grow yourself, lead yourself, and propel yourself. And we're going to walk through those 4 areas because you are a leader of one first. And if you can't lead you, how in the world do you expect to be able to lead other people? And I know y'all can read books and you can, get on Instagram and follow some YouTube videos, and all of that's fine. But leadership comes from deep down within. It requires you to address some issues and concerns that you have as a person, because oftentimes there are 3 things that get in our way. And this still goes back to who's in your court. So first we talked about loving your lane. Now we're talking about making certain that you love the people who are in your lane, because you can only go as high as the people who are in your lane. And the people who are following you, who are with you, who are trying to grow with you, they can only go as high as you. John Maxwell calls it the law of the lid. And the law of the lid is simply this. If you're an 8, the people under you can only become a 5, a 6, or a 7. But yet these people are trying to go further, but you who are in charge refuses to move. And so they're constantly buttressing up against you, and you're infighting and you're having difficulty, and you don't know why. And it's because you as an individual leader do not see the need to grow yourself. And it is so important that you continue to evolve as a leader, because people want to go with you. They are trying to follow you. They believe in you. The question is, do you believe in yourself enough to continue to grow? And so as you talk about your potential and the individuals that are in your lane with you, you have to honestly love them, warts and all, good, bad, ugly, indifferent. Because when you're standing at that crossroad and you're talking about making important decisions, because unless you're single, there are other people who are impacted by the decisions that you make when you are at a crossroad. And tonight that may be you. And this will lead us into our third topic or segment related to, first you love your lane. Then you got to love the people who are with you in your lane, in your inner court. But then beside that also comes the legacy that you're going to leave. We always think legacy in the sense of passing down a business, handing off some jewelry, whatever you leave in your will to other people. But because we're living longer, we are living legacy people. Our living legacy says to us, what are we doing to bring the next generation up, so that what we create today will be there for them? No business that we create should die when we do. We should be able to pass our business on to someone in our inner court who knows our heart, who knows our passion, who has the desire to be trained. It's called a succession plan. And some of us do not have succession planning for our businesses. We don't have succession planning for our families. We don't have living wills. There are a whole host of boss influencers who are going to come after me on the remaining Mondays, and they're going to share with you things that you need to know to help you discover what it is you need to do to leave a legacy. But if you are standing at a crossroad tonight and you are unsure and uncertain about what it is that you need to do, first let me encourage you to think about what it is you have to leave. And oftentimes we'll say, I don't have money in my bank account. I don't own a house. I don't have a car. I don't have a 401k. I have nothing to leave. Well, the reality is what you have to leave is what you deposit and pour into other people while you're still here. One of the things about Dr. Martin Luther King's speeches, and I take this in business with me everywhere that I go, he says, I may not get there with you. And some of us, we get stopped by that. If I can't be there to see the fruit of it, most people stop out right there and they're like, I don't have anything to do with it. I want to reap the benefits of my labor. And yeah, all the networking goes with that statement, simply because I see women and guys say that. It's like, what? You want me to pour into other people and I'm not going to benefit from all the money they're going to make? You know how we do? We get into ourselves and we get into our head and we crush our own goals and inspirations and aspirations simply because we refuse to be okay with just planting seeds and knowing that someone else is going to come and water, and then another day there's going to be an increase by another generation, even when we're away from here. But what I know to be true about the legacy that I'm building, what I'm doing right now is a part of the legacy that I'm building. I am building a legacy of pouring in seed in good soil, soil that is ready to receive wisdom, soil that is ready to receive wise counsel, soil that is ready to take these tips and run with them, because we've been waiting for people to come beside us and say, hey, you don't have to go this alone. Hey, you're not in this by yourself. Hey, I failed, but look, I'm still in this game. And that's what it means to leave a legacy. So the legacy building starts now. So first you ask yourself, what do I have to leave? What business tips do I have? What book can I write? What audio platform can I get on and create content that will be evergreen? Evergreen means that the content that you share and that you speak will always be relevant, no matter the time period, no matter when you recorded it. Someone can come and find it, and the tips and the tools that help you become successful will be the same tips and tools that will help other individuals become successful. And so when you think about what it is that you need and what you want to do. Let me give you 3 tips. If you are at a crossroad and you're trying to figure out what your next steps will be, I'm going to give you the 3 that I wrote down just last week, because I was at a crossroad trying to determine how do I expand my reach. And that's important for me as a business owner, that I expand my reach without becoming imbalanced and without becoming unhinged. And some of you out there know what I'm talking about, because when we embark on new things, new levels, new devils, new common issues, new common problems. And so as we are growing and developing and deciding what it is that we want to do, the first thing that I have written down on my board, and I'm looking over at my board, it says, number 1, relationship cultivation. This is something that is very important. If you are at a crossroad and you're having a difficulty making a decision, the first thing I want you to put down for yourself is relationship cultivation. And so I know this is going to sting when I say it. So if you can't say amen, go ahead and type in ouch, because it is simply this. How many business cards did you collect last year and you didn't make one single follow-up? I'm just going to wait for a few seconds for you to think about the number of business cards that you collected, and not one time did you take a single business card and do a follow-up with an individual. Now, it could be for whatever reason, but if we don't cultivate relationships with the people that we meet, how do we expect to perfect our pitch? How do we expect to expand our reach? How do we expect to build sustainability and then let word of mouth from other people who believe in us help us be propelled forward? So you have to answer that honestly for yourself. How many business cards did you collect within the last 1 to 3 years, and how many of those people did you honestly reach out to? Now, the other side of that is, how many of you have business cards and you forget to take them to events, and so you don't give out any cards? You are not comfortable networking in the room. You have to get to that space where you know that relationship cultivation is a number 1 priority. Relationship cultivation is a number 1 priority of small businesses, especially if you are a black or a brown woman. Relationship cultivation is so important because, like us, word of mouth, all it takes is one person to say a bad thing about our business and it's a wrap. We can just fold up our website, hang up the tent, and it's done. But we have to keep moving forward and keep cultivating those relationships with individuals. The second thing that I would like to say outside of the relationship cultivation that has to deal with the business card follow-up is the potential business to business. And this becomes important because some of us have operated for a long time being the face of our company, being the face of our department, being the face of our organizations, being the face of our family. And if that is the case, that means it's only you and you who's been doing all of the work. And there's not a reliance on other people to come alongside you. But when you think about the potential of business to business, that means you ask yourself, outside of your speaking, outside of your book writing, some of you offer services. This is me encouraging and challenging you to go to your chamber meetings, to go to the places where folks in your community are networking, and establish a business package, a business platform, a business program that you can literally sell or utilize to draw people into what it is you offer. I'll give you a simple example. Some of you are retired executives. Some of you are administrators, executive administrators on your job. And I can't think of the number of times that people say, I wish I had another revenue stream. I'm not making enough money being executive assistant. And the first thing I say to people is, have you ever considered starting your own business as a virtual assistant? You would be surprised the number of times that just simply flies over people's head saying, a virtual assistant, but I don't know how to do that. You don't know how to do what? You type and file and answer the phone and organize other people's correspondence. You write their speeches. You do a whole bunch of things on your job. I need you guys to start looking at your resume and figure out how you can create a business-to-business platform for yourself. A business-to-business platform is not in competition with the work that you do, because the people that you're doing work for are people like me who are small business owners who just don't have the time to do certain things because we're out there trying to grow our businesses, but we need executive assistants. We need virtual assistants. You know, for the individual who every weekend this is for our guys who are out there following, who will listen to this later, even though we're bringing out successful sisters. Some of you who are sisters have sons. Some of you have husbands. You've got uncles, cousins, brothers who are sitting around on the couch and playing video games and doing a whole bunch of other things. And every Saturday, what are they doing when the sun is shining? They are outside detailing their own car. I need you, boss, to get out there and help them with a business plan so y'all can have a business where you're collaborating and saying, hey, brother, I see you out here washing your car every week. You do a great job detailing. I am a management type person. Have you ever really considered starting a detailing car wash service where it's mobile and you can drive to people who park in these office buildings? Now, this is me giving you ideas. I do this all day. I pitch all day. I help people develop ideas and concepts. So right off the top of my head, you can pretty much ask me anything and I got something for you. But this is me off the top of my head saying, get your family members starting their own businesses. Somebody's out there detailing their car every weekend. Well, clearly they don't have a problem being out in the sun. Clearly they don't have a problem detailing cars because their passion and their love of cars drives them to do it. Help them find a lane that they can love by you creating a business-to-business opportunity. You like to go out and market and network. You'll be at an event, somebody will park next to you, and you'll be like, ooh, their car is dirty. But you got your brother's business card in your purse, and so you're going to hand him the card saying, hey, my brother has a mobile detailing business. Here's his card. Where you work? What business are you in? And once you get into that business, then you have the opportunity to go into other businesses and say, hey, while y'all are here from 9 to 5, how about we set up a detailing in a corner of the parking garage? So this is me just giving somebody a fine business plan. I'm saying, ladies, we've got to think outside the box with business to business. So you don't have to be at a crossroad. You just have to decide to make a move, to start to think, to begin to propel yourself forward so that way you are not at that intersection of being broke and homeless or going to the bank and going out to lunch. And I'm telling you, sometimes it's just that simple. One week you're making good money and the next week you're not, and you're wondering where lunch is coming from and where gas in your car is coming from, because we do work from client to client, from business opportunity to business opportunity. So you have to create a long-term strategy when you're at a crossroad. Use that moment at that crossroad to create new ways of looking at how to generate revenue for yourself, your family, and for your community. So I said I was going to give you 3 things. The first one was relationship cultivation and networking and going out and meeting people. With that, it also included the business card follow-up and making certain that you are out there getting on your computer, using your thumbs on your phone, whatever it is that you're doing. We can no longer say that we don't have time to follow up with people. You know how I know? Because we're sitting at stoplights, checking Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter when we really should be pulling out the business card out of our dashboard or out of our coat pocket or out of our purse and sending an email to someone. So let's utilize our time wiser, utilizing that time to build those relationships, that business-to-business concept idea, following up with those business cards. But then also, I'm going to tell you this. If you are at a crossroad and you're not sure, some of us are uncertain if we should move. Some of us are uncertain as to how to move, and some of us are uncertain as to whether or not we should be moving at all. So if you're in a season of having to be still and be silent and be quiet, this is preparation time. Preparation time for what is supposed to come next in your life. And so I'm not saying that if God is saying for you to be still, for you to get out and move just because Dr. Jackie said you needed to get out and move, trust me, I'm not telling you to do anything that God isn't ready for you to get out and do. But what I am saying is that if you are needing to take a break because you have been doing too much and you are at your wit's end and you didn't leave room for capacity for yourself, then you need to sit down. You need to rejuvenate. You need to revitalize yourself and relax. And I trust me, and I say it will get you back to the very top point of loving your lane all over again. Some of you don't like your lane because you're tired. You're worn out. You're too daggone busy. You don't know how to breathe. I mean, sometimes you've got to take a moment out for yourself. You are no good to anyone if you cannot, will not, refuse to take care of you. That is so important. How many of you out there, if you have an iWatch or using some type of device that tells you when you need to breathe? It is interesting how a watch knows when you're becoming stressed or anxious. It measures your pulse points. It knows when you're building up too much blood and it's not pumping the way that it should. So let me encourage you to take that time. Don't dismiss it. Whatever you're using to help you know when you need to breathe, take that moment to inhale and then just exhale. It is amazing what a little bit of breath will do to help you regain your composure. And this is me going to take the next few minutes to share about composure when you're at a crossroad, and then I'm going to take some questions. So when you're at a crossroad, I talked earlier about you adjusting your attitude, and sometimes it's difficult to adjust your attitude because you got a lot of people and a lot of things coming at you, and you don't know sometimes why it's happening and how you're going to get out of it. And there are those days where everything just converges on you, and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this. It's too much, and I can't take anymore. And that's when you really need to take that moment to breathe and gather your composure again. And there are ways in which you gather your composure. Some of us take deep breaths. Some of us go dancing. Some of us sit down and veg out on our favorite sitcom or television show. Some of us just sit back and breathe. Some do yoga. Some get on a treadmill and run. Some go for a long drive. Let me encourage you, whatever it is that you need to do to regroup and reclaim your sense of purpose, your sense of passion, your sense of self. You need to do that. And I honestly, I do. When my watch says I need to breathe, the first thing that I do, and I'm going to tell you in a minute why I'm telling you this is important, because, so what I do first, I don't want to run ahead of myself. What I do first when my watch tells me to breathe, I'm tempted to dismiss it because I'm in my head and I'm busy and I got to get this done. But what I do now is I look at it and I assess for a moment. I say, okay, what just happened in the last 5 minutes to hour to make my watch tell me I needed to breathe? And then I do a recap in my mind of, did I let somebody trigger me? Did a situation or circumstance come in my space that I didn't address? Did something need to be addressed that I probably should have addressed and chose not to deal with it at that moment? But something happened internally to cause me to get to a place where my watch told me that I needed to breathe. So the first thing I do before I take that 1 minute breath is I reassess what just happened in that 60 seconds or 60 minutes prior to that happening. And then I say, okay, all right, I get it. I see what I did or didn't do. I didn't finish a project. I didn't do closure. I let somebody say something to me and not address it, and I probably should have. So now internally it's bugging me, but externally I look like I'm cool, calm, and collected, but my body is telling me something different. And it's important, ladies, that we recognize these warning signs. When your watch tells you to breathe, you need to breathe, because the longer you keep that up, you're putting yourself in a health situation. And so some of you are at a crossroad because you had a health scare and you're not exactly sure how to deal with that thing because, oh, my business is going well, I don't have time to sit down, blah, 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 blah. If you need to take 1 minute every hour to breathe, to save your life, to save your business, to be there for your family, let me tell you, take that moment to breathe. So this is personal. So now back to business, professional. The reason why you also need to take a moment to breathe and gather yourself is because so many of us, you know, the us's I'm talking about, we as women are quick to pop off. And that's the best way that I know how to say it, is that we are quick to pop off. And so we have to be careful that if we don't breathe before we speak, we could potentially lose relationships that we're trying to cultivate with businesses, with individuals, with other industries. We have to be extremely cautious in the fact that when we're going through this stage of at a crossroad, to address those things that cause us to have triggers, so that way when we get into a situation where we are ready to negotiate, where we're ready to sign on the bottom line, where we feel comfortable to share our concepts and ideas with other people. But then somebody comes into the room and they make you lose your train of thought. And the first thing you'll say is, didn't I tell y'all? And then you have to stop yourself, because it's not about them. It's about you not being prepared and ready. I don't care who comes downstairs right now. I don't care if the doorbell is ringing. I don't care if the smoke alarm is going off. My moment is right now with you, and I trust that whoever is upstairs is going to handle that. It would be foolish for me to say, why didn't you guys upstairs, blah, 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 blah. You know I'm down here, doing a talk tonight. What use is that to you all for me to go off about something that I have ultimately no control over? And so by taking that moment to breathe, it allows us to assess what we need to say and how we need to respond. So sometimes we get at a crossroads position because we're at a loss. And in order to rebuild from a loss, it means you have to take a stop out. I know we don't like it. This is me telling you, for those of you who need permission, this is me telling you that it's okay to press pause. Okay? Press pause. You need to press pause. Hello, pause. You need to press pause, because some of you are in that space where you've had it up to here, and one more thing is going to take you up to here. Notice I didn't go in increments. I didn't say it was going to be gradual, because you passed gradual. You're already from here to here, 0 to 60, at blasting off at someone, something, quitting a deal because you are at that space where you have no more capacity. And in business, women, we do not have the luxury to not be ready. But what we do have is moments to breathe, days to take a respite, to take a vacation, I work 3 good days out of the week. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Those are my work days. Monday is my community day, my give back day, my get myself together for my weekday. And then Friday is I'm out somewhere speaking, doing something, earning money, whatever. And so you have to figure out when you work. I've had days where I've worked 7 days a week from sun up to sundown. And at my age, I'm not there. I don't have the capacity for it. And people say I'm busier now than I was when I was younger, doing something every day. And it's probably because I learned how to use my time more effectively. And so if you're at a crossroad, that's the second thing I want to tell you. Not only do you need to take time to breathe and rediscover yourself, but you also need to learn how to use your time effectively. You don't have to be at everybody's everything, but you do need to communicate. You do need to make certain that your presence is known in other ways, that you're still there to support and be engaged and be involved, while at the same time you're not running yourself ragged. Being at a crossroad is a really great place. It doesn't have to be scary. You just need to know that you can't stay there forever. I liken it into, a passage of scripture that I was reading the other day about the Exodus, and the children were saying, we can't go back because Pharaoh's going to get us. We can't move forward because we don't know what's next. But one thing I do know is you cannot stay where you are. And for me, that's one of the principles that I teach as it relates to business. If you are at a crossroad, just like the children who were trying to escape Pharaoh, life is not a parking lot, people. Life is not a parking lot. You don't have the luxury just to sit or stand in the middle of the road. You will get hit by a proverbial Mack truck if you don't make a decision about what you need to do next. So before I go to questions, let me just encourage you that you have to decide. If you're going to be still for a moment, you need to put a time limit to how long you need to be still. You need to write down what you need to be doing in your crossroad, so that way when you come out, you're ready to go. But you come out the gate either blazing or you come out the gate slow. Only you know your cadence and what it is that you need to know. Only you know you and your pacing in your life and what other things you have going on. This is just me encouraging you as it relates to your relationships and your professional intersection, where if you have kids at home and a husband, if you're nursing ailing parents, if you've got a lot of stuff going on in your life, you have got to figure out how to pace yourself as a businesswoman, so that way you can still live out your goals, your dreams, and your aspirations. And so you're at this crossroad. You're not certain whether you want to go back. But when you think about going back, giving up, throwing in the towel, one of the things that you know for certain is you have to look back and say, what was there and why did you leave it in the first place? You have to ask yourself why you left something before you decide you want to go back to it. Was it good? Was it great? Was it amazing? Or was it full of drama and heartache and hardship, but because it's comfortable, you're willing to go back and sacrifice seeing what's ahead? And that's your other option. Your other option is to move forward by faith, to move forward by profession, to move forward by your confidence and your competence, because I know that you are confident and you are competent. So you wouldn't be doing what you're doing if you didn't have the skill set to do so. So trust yourself enough and trust the Lord even more to go forward. But one thing you can't do is stay still for a long time. So you're going to ask yourself, this is my challenge to you until I see you next quarter, or when we do our webinars just for our Boss Network audience. Why are you standing still? And what is making you afraid? When you're able to address that, the fear of going forward, if you do it by faith, it outweighs you going back to something that you knew you had to leave and promised yourself you would never go back to. And that's in anything in life. Some things you just shouldn't go back to. You've been delivered from them. You've left them and they and all that behind. There's nothing for you back there, so don't look back. Your future is ahead of you, and that's where you need to be searching. So tonight, if you were at a crossroad, at that intersection between personal and professional decision making, know that the decisions rest with you. I'm not going to give you an out tonight and tell you ask somebody, because that would be you later placing the blame on somebody else for giving you a bad advice, for giving you bad counsel, for helping you make a bad decision. Some decisions you got to own. That's the best way I can tell it to you. If you at a crossroad, you got to own your decision to move forward. You got to own your decision to stand still, and you have to own your decision to go back if that's what you choose to do. But one thing I can say, as a leader of one, you leading your own life, the decision rests with you. This has been your girl, Dr. Jackie, tonight for the Boss Network. And I would like if you would type in your questions. I know that Kamika and Miss Cynthia are there, and they have the ability to be able to, respond to some of the questions. If you type them in, I will take your questions and then I will respond to them, and we will go from there. Are there any questions? Hey, Mel. Hey, Priscilla. Hey, Kimberly. Thank you guys for joining tonight. Let me tell you, this has been amazing and exciting. If you guys have any questions for me about moving back or going forward, if you yourself are at a crossroad, let me take your questions. And as a quick recap, for those of you who are joining us, the 3 things that I talked about tonight were being able, when you're at a crossroad, to love your lane. This is the recap. You got to love your lane. The lane that you were given to walk in, you got to love it. The second thing is you got to love the people who are in your lane, the people who are not on your front row, but the people who are in your inner court. Some of us need some new inner court people. We have to have people who are there in our inner court. But then also we talked about the legacy, the things that we can leave behind, not money, not jewelry, not fame or fortune, but the wisdom seeds that we pour into other people. That's going to be the legacy that we leave behind. So if you have any questions tonight, please feel free to type in some of the questions. Cynthia, thank you for that. Cynthia said, remind everybody to press pause. It's okay to press pause. Sometimes we need a stop out. We just can't keep running on empty at the dregs of our gas tank. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. You cannot do it. Thank you, Kimberly, for that. We got to move forward by faith. That is absolutely true. Moving forward by faith allows us to be able to. A girlfriend of mine has this saying that she says, and we did a talk on it a couple of months back, and she says you have to get excited about the unexpected or get excited about the unknown. I think that's the way she puts it. You have to get excited about the unknown. And, she's a part of our Boss Network as well. Her name is Shamitra's Vital. You guys, that's what faith does. Faith helps you get excited about what's next. It helps you get excited about your future. And so for those of you who don't know what to do, sometimes you have to figure out what excites you and propel yourself forward. So Kimberly says, what about when you are still finding your lane? What do I suggest? So there are a couple of ways to find your lane. And I may have mentioned this a little bit earlier about finding your tribe. So you have to figure out, are you still trying to find your lane, or are you still trying to find the people to network that are supposed to be with you in your journey? So first, if you're still trying to find your lane, let's start with narrowing some things down. What are you good at and what do you like to do? And if you've already determined your purpose and your passion, then you look at what I call low-hanging fruit. Where are some immediate areas with people that you know, that you've worked with in the past, organizations, your church, your groups, your professionals, whatever that organization or that place may be. It may be some place that you go often and you hang out with people. You can find your lane by stepping out in faith with what you're competent in. Kimberly, what is it that you're trying to do, or what is it that you do? And in answering that question, I'll have a better idea of telling you how to establish a baseline for finding your lane. And you may have dibbled and dabbled in a couple of lanes. Oh, I like this, but I don't like it enough to do it every day. Oh, this sounds wonderful. It was okay while I did it for a while, but that's not for me. So if you're like me, I have 5 lanes. 5 lanes. And I know that may sound crazy, but because I run a company, what I've been able to do is figure out the things that I love to do the most. But all of them do one thing. They help other people. They just happen to be done in different ways. So once you figure out what it is you love to do, that you want to do, that you believe you should be doing, then you can find different ways to do it. So you don't necessarily have to stay in your lane. You may be like me on the highway, and it's a 5 or 6 lane highway, and you owning and managing that highway. For those of you who are in Chicago where Kamika is, it could be the Dan Ryan, and you got all the lanes and you manage them, and you are owning every last one of them, including the expressway. And when you know your skill set, then you know what you can navigate successfully. So what I suggest is, what do you like to do, and what are you good at doing, and what have you attempted to do? And then connect with individuals, especially in the Boss Network, finding individuals who can assist you, putting something out there and explaining it to you so that you can go. I feel like there are so many. I need to narrow it down. But like you said, one thing in common, I need to see more. I love to help people. Okay, so that's a great way. So what you look at is a season. So let's go with that. So first, you have many gifts and talents. Look at the season of life that you are in, and then figure out the things that you like to do. What season do they need to operate? Because not everything operates at the same time or simultaneously. They flow into one another. That's what gives us our sustainability as business owners. And I'll give you an example. So at the beginning of the year for me, I write devotionals. It's what helps me help people do or stick with their New Year's resolutions. And so for me, helping people through writing and blogging is one of the ways that I do that. That is a separate entity. It's writing and it's blogging. It has its own life and it has its own lane, and it's seasonal. After that, when people have said, I'm going to stick with my New Year's resolution, and other people drop off from their New Year's resolution, we move into my spring season. And my spring season is training. And that is all I do from spring to summer is train. Face-to-face, webinars, whatever the case may be, online, by phone, certifying coaches, all of those things. That's my season for that particular lane. People stuck with their New Year's resolution. They're somewhat on autopilot. They check in when they need to. But then I move to my next season, which is training and development. And that is my base. My base is training and development. But then also in my life outside of training and development, now these two kind of overlap. I am a constant season of speaking engagements because there's Christmas, Mother's Day, Easter, there's summer, there's weddings, there's women's retreats, there's business conferences. And so that's ongoing. But those other two things in those seasons in January, February, March, and then there's March, April, May, June, July, those things feed into others. So the things that I'm helping individuals with, they see value in what I do. And in doing that, they invite me throughout the year to come and do other things. So it's learning also to operate in your lane. So you love your lane, but you also have to operate in your lane, and that is establishing what it is that you do and where do you find the people. And sometimes you have to be willing to put yourself out there. You can't be shy trying to start a business. You can't be timid, or fearful. You have to step out there and say, here's who I am, this is what I do, this is how I help you. And people have the opportunity to accept or reject your help. They're lost. Because someone else will come along and say, hey, I heard you talking about somebody else's thing, and that may not have worked for them, but I think it'll work for me. Can we talk? And so you have to put yourself out there in that sense of saying, I know I want to help people. So you write out your list. How can I help people? And then you ask yourself, when do I help people? And then to make sure it's what you want to do, you say, why do I want to help people? And then once you got those things done, then you tell yourself the when. So it really does help you establish how to have a protocol for yourself so that you don't let other people run into your lane, try to tell you to step over into somebody else's lane to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G when you know that's not for you. And so once you establish who you are and what you're doing, it allows you to discover where you need to be, and then the people will flow to you. Because I still believe if you build it, they will come. But also I know that whom God calls, he qualifies, and whom he calls, he also equips. So the people are out there for you. But when you're not in that space of establishing who you are and what you want to do, it does make it difficult to establish how you should move forward. Thank you for that question, Kimberly. Appreciate your question and your comments. Anyone else? Any more questions? Licky there. Have about 3 minutes. Hey, boss lady, Kamika Smith, is there something in particular or else you would like for me to share? Any questions from some of our bosses and our boss ambassadors that are there? I'm open to anything that you guys would like to ask me. While we wait for other questions to come in, let me encourage you tonight, if you have not or you are not regularly participating in the Boss Network online through the Facebook Success Forum, that is one place for you to get started. But let me encourage you to do yourself a service. Do yourself a service by investing in yourself. And a lot of times, this is my last crossroad, and I'm glad that I saved this to the end, and then I'm going to close out. If you don't invest in you, then you're doing yourself a disservice. You have to go to thebossnetwork.com and sign up to become a full member of the Boss Network. It's very important that you invest in yourself at whatever price point is comfortable for you. Because if you're not willing to invest in yourself, to grow yourself, to know your business, to get ahead, it makes it really difficult for other people to trust your credibility about what you say. You want people to like what you do. You want people to come alongside you. You want them to pay you for what it is that you do, but you're not willing to invest in yourself, and you have got to invest in yourself. If you know who needs to be part of your tribe, Erica, I'm reading your question. If you know who needs to be part of your business tribe, how do you properly connect and network with them? So I have, Erica, thank you for the question. So I have what's called an exploratory meeting. An exploratory meeting is in the old day what people used to call a cold call. So I'm exhaling on that one because it does take a lot to be able to do it. So what I do is I get business cards. I may see people on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I like what they're doing. I will reach out to them and say, hey, I've been following you for a while. I've seen what you've been doing. I'd like to have an exploratory meeting. An exploratory meeting is for you to really establish if this person is really supposed to be a part of your business tribe. You come with your questions. Questions like, what do you do? How did you get here? How has that been working for you? Who helped you? If that doesn't happen and you're not getting the answers that you need, then it becomes extremely difficult for you to be able to say you want this person to be a part of your business tribe. I will walk up to people that I've seen at Essence Music Festival and say, hey, you're doing some really great stuff. Do you have a card or can I contact you? My name is so-and-so. You can check me out if you want to, but I really think that I would like to have you be a part of something that I'm doing, and I need your wise counsel and your advice. I am not shy about asking people to help me, and you shouldn't be either. So, Erica, I hope that that helps you, because if you want someone to be a part of your business tribe, you have to know first what it is you want from them. Because people who are willing to help you, they will help you, but they're not going to help you figure out how to help you. I hope that that was about as plain as I can say it. I'll use me as an example. Don't come to me and ask me to be a part of something that you're doing, and I say to you, so how long would you like for me to be a part of it, and what exactly is it you would like for me to do? And I don't know, we can kind of talk about that and you've lost me right there, because you need to come ready, because you have to show yourself to be professional, and that's extremely important. I think somebody turned on the heat in the house because it's cold here in Virginia. But see, my glasses are fogging up. So, but that's one of the ways in which you're able to ask people to be a part of your tribe. You know what it is that you want from them. You know how long you want them to be a part of your tribe, and you set a tone for what that expectation looks like. And then that way you all are able to move forward together. And in doing so, it makes that relationship so much better for everyone else. And that person sees you being professional, and they identify how they can help you. And that helps them watch you grow. And in helping you grow is a part of why you really do want them there. So you have to set some guidelines and some rules about how you want people to help you, how long you want them to help you, and what that kind of help looks like. So I hope that that was helpful to you, Erica. Thank you. That was a really good question. Really, really good question. Anybody else? Ooh, Kamika, I'm over time. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, but this was so great. It's 9:02. She's gonna kill me. No, she's not gonna kill me, really. So Erica, there's one thing that I will ask for those of you who are still watching. I did a YouTube, and I think I still did this for Kamika as well, on helpfulness. Sometimes we don't know how to ask for help, and sometimes we don't know who to ask help from. So it's important, if you would, go to that YouTube, and it's called The Issue with Helpfulness. And so sometimes we have to be able to establish guidelines and rules for the kind of help we want, the kind of help we need, and who we get help from. And so if you would, take a listen to that, and it'll help you grow. I'm going to close. This has been your girl, Dr. Jackie. It's been extremely exciting. I'm one of the 2018 Boss Influencers for the Boss Network. If you need to find me, I'm at www.JacquieHood.com, JACQUIEHOOD.com. And of course, Kamika will be sending out information about our upcoming webinars. These will be exclusively for individuals who are part of the Boss Network. And so we're creating content that is just for you. There'll be live webinars with you. I'm going to take you through probably a 4-week series. We may do 5 weeks, depending on how people's May and June look, in order for us to really have a great time and grow together. So thank you so much. This has been amazing. I'm looking forward to reconnecting with everybody. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at J Hood Martin, and then on LinkedIn at Jacquie Hood Martin. Be blessed. Have a great life, everyone.